Last week's video on why all the hype around AI is just another government-sponsored corporate grift left me with one whopper of an unanswered question. If the smartest, richest, and most connected men in the tech industry are just grilling up another nothing burger tech bubble to make a quick buck, then why are they buying apocalypse insurance in the form of self-sustaining, blast-proof doomsday compounds in the most remote corners of the earth? I mean, they've got to already know that the penalty for a classic subprime pump and dump scheme is a government bailout and a working class just grateful to make their next mortgage payment. But if that's true, why aren't these guys just buying luxury penthouses in Manhattan like normal grifters? Instead, they are buying arable land, energy-independent islands, and stockpiling weapons and resources to survive a collapse of the social order. What exactly do these guys know that we don't? Last week, I kicked off my journey to understand AI and its impact on humanity by laying out the steelman argument for the skeptics. I entertained the possibility that this time really isn't any different. Nothing ever plays out like they say, and they're all in it for the money. And honestly, compared to what I'm thinking, that narrative is quite comforting. It almost feels safer to believe that the status quo will hold. But we'd all be doing ourselves a disservice if we simply dismiss NVIDIA's $4.5 trillion valuation as absurd. I just can't ignore that the people developing this technology and investing in it are behaving like they're about to crack the code of the universe. Today I want to explore the world of the true believers. I want to focus on the hope offered by the pioneers of this technology that really believe that machine learning is our path to solving humanity's biggest problems. I want to look at the architecture of the new reasoning models that suggest we are nowhere near a development plateau. And finally, I will introduce something I learned from the community this week. A body of work that articulates exactly what I've been thinking, only way better, offering an optimistic path forward that doesn't require a bunker. Part 1, The Passion of the Visionaries. I think it's intellectually lazy to dismiss the entire AI boom as greed. While the shareholders are certainly motivated by profit, the scientists and founders driving the research often operate with a different set of incentives. When I listen to these guys, I don't hear greedy capitalists looking for a quick exit. I hear pro-social visionaries responding to a complexity barrier. They believe that human intelligence, while remarkable in its own right, is biologically limited. We are too slow, too biased, and our working memory is too small to solve problems like fusion energy or metastatic cancer on a reasonable timeline. Honestly, if I'm skeptical of anything, it's the unchecked hubris of an incel with a savior complex. While the erratic behavior and grandiose hot takes of Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Sam Altman are grabbing the headlines, other tech leaders are quietly solving superhuman problems and winning Nobel Prizes in science. Take Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, for example. He's a neuroscientist and a polymath who has been playing a 20-year-long game. His stated goal has never changed: solve intelligence and then use that to solve everything else. For Hassabis, AI isn't about generating content to win a race. It's about accelerating scientific discovery. And this isn't hypothetical. When the internet was busy memifying ChatGPT's failures, DeepMind deployed AlphaFold and solved the protein prediction problem, which earned them the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Before AlphaFold, determining the 3D structure of a single protein from their amino acid sequences was a laborious, expensive progress that would take a human researcher years to complete. DeepMind built a model that not only does this instantly, but it predicted the structure of nearly all 20 million known proteins in the universe. Then they made it available to everyone on Earth, transforming drug discovery and biological research forever. And we also have figures like Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic. He and a half dozen others left OpenAI not to make more money, but because they were genuinely terrified of the safety implications of AI and unsatisfied with OpenAI's attention to their concerns. Dario's team isn't trying to move fast and break things to win an arms race. They are focused on pro-social alignment to build a superintelligence with human values before it's too late. I guess my point is, I just don't see them all as grifters selling snake oil. Most of them are brilliant researchers and proven visionaries who can see a horizon line where the cost of intelligence drops to zero, changing human understanding of reality itself. And that just happens to be worth all the money in the world. Part 2, The New Physics of Thought. The skeptics argue that current AI models are running out of data, the scaling laws are breaking down, and progress is destined to plateau. But the believers argue that the paradigm has fundamentally shifted. We are moving from large language models to large world models. This goes beyond the system-to inference reasoning that allows current models to solve complex math problems. The new frontier is synthesizing physical intuition. Current learning models are developing an internal simulation of the physical world, which appears to be improving exponentially. The latest models aren't just reading the internet, they are watching it. By ingesting millions of hours of video, they aren't just learning to predict the next word in a sentence, they are learning to predict the next frame of reality. This is a massive leap forward. When a model generates a video of a glass falling off a table, it doesn't just animate a picture, it simulates the physics. It understands, without being explicitly told, that gravity pulls down, that glass is brittle, and the liquid will splash. Theoretically, we are moving from a system that simply regurgitates information to a system that intuitively predicts how reality functions. Call it what you will, but I see a big difference between a chatbot that helps me write a video script and a universal simulator that could engineer the cure for everything. Part 3, Pitchforks and Bunkers. Now, if you can accept the premise that these models could soon exceed human capability in the most economically valuable tasks, you start to understand the frantic behavior of the broligarchy. The tech elite truly believe, and with good reason, that if they're about to create superintelligence and effectively control the levers of humanity, two things are non-negotiable. First, you need a massive amount of power and compute to run the machine. And second, you need a contingency plan in case the machine breaks society. And we are seeing this play out right now. The Magnificent Seven, Microsoft, Alphabet, Palantir, Meta, etc., are no longer just tech companies. They're becoming energy companies larger than many nation states. Microsoft just signed a 20-year deal to restart Unit 1 of the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. Now let that sink in. A software company is restarting a nuclear reactor that has been dormant for years. Amazon and Google are buying land next to reactors and investing billions in small modular reactors. These companies are securing energy independence to ensure that no matter what happens to the grid, their machines keep running. But infrastructure collapse is only half of their problem. The leaders of these companies seem to be prepping for something much more nefarious. It's reported that Mark Zuckerberg is constructing a compound in Kauai, complete with blast-proof doors and a 5,000 square foot underground bunker with its own food and energy supply. Peter Thiel secured citizenship in New Zealand to build his Doomsday luxury retreat in the remote Southern Alps. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has openly discussed his stockpile of gold, guns, and gas masks. Palantir CEO Alex Karp just paid $120 million for a monastery in the remote Rockies. Why are they all doing this? Because they understand that whether the bubble bursts or the singularity arrives, the outcome for a labor-based society looks dangerously similar. Let's think about that a bit. If the financial bubble bursts, we are almost certainly looking at a massive recession. And when companies go into survival mode, they cut jobs. But this time, when it's time to start back up, they'll have better, faster, cheaper, and safer automation to do the work of humans. This is fantastic for the bottom line, but history has shown us when unemployment rates approach 25%, the people revolt. On the other hand, regardless of what we want to believe, AI development is a geopolitical arms race. Vladimir Putin famously said, "Whoever becomes the leader in AI will control the world." We used to fight wars over stupid things like religion and oil. AI technology is bigger than both of those combined. Win or lose, the race to AGI is a matter of national security. And considering all that, New Zealand starts looking pretty nice this time of year. Regardless, the writing is on the wall. We seem to be approaching a world where human labor will no longer be the engine of the economy. Sudden mass unemployment leads us to one of two possible futures. First is what the bunkers are for. This is commonly imagined as a kind of techno-feudalist dystopia where the elites own the intelligence and control the resources, while the rest of us fight for scraps and beg for mercy. But the second option is a utopian renaissance. In this world, the benevolent visionaries succeed, and artificial intelligence shatters the complexity barriers, allowing machines to handle all of the drudgeries and solve all of our problems. This leaves humanity liberated from the chains of wage slavery, and work becomes optional. Part 4, Post-Labor Economics. In the comments of my first video, a few of you pointed me towards the work of David Shapiro and his vast body of work on post-labor economics. I've only begun to scratch the surface of my own understanding, but Shapiro has developed an economic framework that explains in detail how we can create a world where the productivity gains from automation benefit all of us, not just those at the top. Just the idea of mass unemployment is terrifying for most because we live in a paradigm where human dignity and survival are tied to labor. If you don't work, you don't eat. But Shapiro's Labor Zero movement argues that this model is quickly becoming obsolete. It argues that the goal of advanced technology should be to eliminate human toil, not preserve it. The solution to mass unemployment isn't to prevent AI from stealing our jobs, it's to decouple human value from economic output. My basic rudimentary understanding of this idea looks a little something like this. Compensation for the loss of wages goes beyond the traditional debate of universal basic income, which is often framed as a socialist welfare handout by the critics. But the emerging conversation is about a universal basic dividend, which is more economically viable and much less triggering. For me, the logic is pretty simple. The AI models were trained on our data and our engagement. The internet has become the collective heritage of humanity. The foundation of machine learning is built on public research and public resources. Therefore, the massive productivity gains generated by an automated economy belong in part to the public, not just the corporations that own the machines. Now, the elites are already prepared for a turbulent period of transition as society adapts to its post-labor reality. The challenge for the rest of us, who can't afford an island fortress, is to demand that the dividends of this technology are distributed fairly rather than hoarded by a select few, and our right to human dignity and economic agency is preserved. Personally, I've never found virtue in toil and drudgery to justify my existence, so I've built a life outside of that paradigm. I've come to believe that AI technology makes this possible for everyone else too. I'd much rather live in a society that values community, creativity, and discovery than hard work, loyalty, and self-sacrifice. And that is the whole point of this entire project. I don't know which timeline we are on, but I do know that the most capitalized institutions on Earth are betting everything on a pro-social outcome. They are restarting nuclear reactors, they are simulating the universe, and they are folding proteins to cure disease. But here's the catch. Whether the singularity arrives in 2 years or 10, the shift has already begun. The value of human cognitive labor is being reconstituted whether we like it or not, but we still have a choice in the matter. We can look at this with terror and skepticism, or we can look at it through the lens of hope and possibility. As I see it, if the system decides it no longer needs our labor, we finally get to decide what we can offer the world instead. So, for the next 10 weeks, I will continue phase 1 of the Instead of Working project by deconstructing the AI landscape with alternating viewpoints. From the skeptics and the believers, the optimists and the pessimists, and the problems and the possibilities, starting with everyone's favorite, the Orwellian dystopian nightmare of techno-feudalism. Thank you so much for watching. Instead of working, I'll see you next week.